Let's try this again, Sirhan. You know the drill.
Please, I really don't want to.
But we must. We will keep trying until you remember, okay? Now I'm going to count down from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
After that, it was the same old process. He would set the scene June 5th, 1968, the Ambassador Hotel, where Senator Kennedy was just about to finish his speech.
Go on to Chicago and let's win there.
He would tell me I had gone to my car to collect my gun, and that now I was standing amongst the crowds in the kitchen with Senator Kennedy exiting the stage and walking towards me. We had replayed the scene in various different ways over the years, but this seemed to be his favorite one, the one the doctor likes to believe. It's at this point, as Kennedy pushes through the crowds, that I feel the doctor pinch my elbow in the way that, he says, activates my range mode, and everything turns red. Now I have tried without success for the last 55 years to remember what happened that day, and in particular what happened when everything turns red, but I just couldn't. That's the goddamn honest truth. But as the hypnotist leads me along, shouting at me, telling me how much I hate Robert Kennedy, telling me that I did it, telling me what I saw before me. Well, in that trance state, whether it was memory or hallucination, what I saw was the death of that man by my hand. I saw myself take that gun from my pocket and fire 3 shots into Kennedy before being wrestled to the ground. I was admiring the scene, the very real-looking psychological landscape I had created when a loud noise rang out. I heard it deep within my dream. The whole vision disintegrated and faded to black. I opened my eyes. Before me was another scene of bloody horror. The doctor and security guard were lying dead on the floor in front of me with identical bullet holes to the left temple. In my hands is the security guard's gun. I stared at it in disbelief. I stared at the wounds of the men before me, the perfectly symmetrical bullet wounds, the clinical precision. I was panicking, hyperventilating. I had killed them. Worse than that, if I had killed them, then surely that meant I had killed Kennedy. If I could do a thing like this, if there is a part of me primed for killing like a quick drawing cowboy? I tried to shake the thought away, but I couldn't. It only took for it to happen all over again for me to remember what had happened the first time. Remember? Yes, I had thought, I remember. And there were other memories flooding back to me too. Terrible things. I blinked and tried to shake myself, hoping that I was still in a trance, but I wasn't. I was there in the very real yellow glow of my prison cell with these new, very terrible memories raining down over me. They cascaded, pulling me one way and then the other, reordering themselves, attempting to file themselves away within the chronology of my memory. I collected myself and audited my thoughts. I could remember each and every time I had been put into a hypnotic state. I could remember that I had been coerced through hypnotic suggestion into killing Senator Kennedy. I thought about the injustice, about how I had been fucked with every day since. The hypnotism sessions, the transcendental meditation groups, the research chemicals and truth serums, all to get me to remember what I now could. I remembered it all. The radio man, the shooting range, the Rosicrucians, and the girl with the polka dot dress. I looked down at the 2 dead bodies on the ground in front of me. It's good they were dead. Fuck all those shrinks. Fuck the phony doctors. Fuck the police and fuck the fucking intelligence agencies. I gripped the security guard's gun tight. This could be my chance. I could reclaim my identity and unravel the threads of manipulation woven into the fabric of my past. Before I knew it, I was unclipping the keys from the prison guard's belt and walking straight on out of there, straight out of the door with no hassle. I was scared as I entered onto the street, scared of the world I hadn't seen for so long. I was scared of the people out here in the world who must have hated me, who thought of me not just as a murderer, but as someone who took the life of a man who would have been president, and who may have forged a brighter future for our country. This future is not so good. There is so much hate. I thought about the hatred, and it was right there and then that I decided that I would no longer promulgate hatred. I would only think of the good. I remembered all the people who had supported me. My attorneys, my pen pals, even the doctor's assistant Tracy, who seemed like a decent person and was clumsy and made me laugh and would feel sorry for me because of the doctor's obscure methods. I had thought of the son of the man I had killed. RFK Jr. had visited me and explained that he believed someone else had killed his father, and that the autopsy results proved my innocence. How would he feel now knowing that it actually was me that killed his dad? Would he believe me if I told him that I was a victim too, ensnared in the machinations of others? I sighed and thought of my own family, how they had tried their best to accept my situation. Did I dare make my way to them? I didn't. I couldn't. I was walking through San Diego in the early evening thinking about where I could dispose of the security guard's gun when I passed by a crowd gathered around the doors of a large auditorium. I had been trying to go unnoticed, but I was curious about what was happening and asked one of the crowd what was going on. Robert Kennedy Jr. is giving a speech. I was shocked at the serendipity. Why? I asked. He's campaigning to be the Democratic nominee. He's running to be president. No way, I thought. The man who I had met and who had believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. He was going to be president. Isn't that an interesting twist of fate, I thought to myself. Hey, don't I know you? I heard the man in front of me ask. You look familiar. I shrugged, mumbled something about just having one of those faces, and ducked inside the auditorium, adamant that I would meet RFK Jr. and tell him what had happened. I would apologize to him face to face. I could not bring back the life I took, nor could I undo the pain and suffering I caused. But perhaps I could find redemption in exposing those who used me as a weapon and prevent others from falling victim to similar schemes. I took my place amongst the crowd and watched and waited.
We've had a call.
Guy thinks he saw Sirhan
at the concert hall downtown.
We're going to send 2 armed response and 2 specialist units.
I'm coming too. I have worked with the guy for 15 years. Maybe I can get him to come quietly.
Whatever you say, Doc. I am not a doctor. I watched under the bright lights as Robert spoke. His politics were alien to me, but that was to be expected after spending as long as I had in prison. He seemed composed in front of the crowd despite his halting speech, and when he had finished, he waved and waded out into the aisles to speak to as many people as he could. I saw my chance and began making my way to the aisle. I hadn't noticed, but behind me a small unit of armed police had discreetly entered the hall. Tracy Branco, the doctor's assistant, had convinced them momentarily to stand down and was making her way down the central walkway towards me. Kennedy reached my aisle just as I stepped out to meet him. Sirhan, he said with a look of great surprise. Mr. Kennedy, I said, smiling broadly. He looked uncomfortable for a moment, but only for a moment before he adjusted and held out his hand towards me. I smiled again, grateful that he was pleased to see me, and as I held out my hand to shake his, I felt a grip upon my elbow, a pinch as if someone was trying to get my attention. I had a sudden sinking feeling, and everything went red. I've been told what happened. I've been told that's why I am back here in my cell and will be until the day I die. But I swear it, from the moment I held out my hand, I remember nothing except bodies piling up on me, choking me, forcing the gun out of my possession. I don't remember. I don't remember.
Sirhan, cry all you want. We're going to keep trying until you remember. Okay? Now I'm going to count down from 10.
Deep snakes.